Welcome into another one of our Locked On bracket breakdowns as we go over the Sweet 16 matchups. We're checking in with Locked On Vols, Eric Kane. I apologize. We are clearly bad luck because all the hosts we've been talking to from Locked On today have been on the bad side of their game. This was a tough one for Tennessee. I know we say this ad nauseum that guard play really wins you in the tournament. How tough was it for them to go without one of their best players today?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. But at this point, this is game what 1, 2, 3. I mean, this is game 6 or 7 without him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to figure it out. So you can't really blame it on that. I'll say this: it's
Okay.
Tennessee's losing. It's not because they shot 33% from the field. It's not because they made only 7 to 12 free throws. It's not because they got out rebounded in this game. It's because Brandon Olson texted me, and then from then on, FAU went on the 12 or the 15-2 run. But it was just it was a bad second half for Tennessee, and this offense all year long has gone through scoring droughts and went through a
Mhm.
couple here today. And Tennessee ended the game making only one of its last 7 shots. And at this stage of the game, you got to make some shots. 33% from the field is just not good enough. And being out rebounded by a team that you are much, much, much bigger and taller than
Mhm.
overall in the grand scheme of things, just not good enough here in the Sweet 16, and that's why Tennessee lost.
Eric, we've talked throughout the year that, Tennessee can get up, win these big games against a Duke, out muscle them, if you will. And then, not that FAU is a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but, on paper, it looks like they should be able to be bigger than them, use that to their advantage, and isn't able to do it. Is it just a mindset? Why is it so hard for them to keep that consistency from game to game?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question because again, you're right. I mean, you had great wins over Kansas earlier in the season,
Mm.
over Texas, over number one Alabama. You didn't look great against Louisiana, and then you come back and you beat Duke, who was one of the hottest teams in the country. And then you have some of these games where you lose to teams that you're just much better than. And FAU's a good club. I mean, again, I
Mhm.
said it all week long. You're in the Sweet 16 for a reason, right? You won 33 games going into tonight, and you have a lot of great pieces. But again, this is a game where at the end of the day, you're going to see where Tennessee bowed out in the Sweet 16. Tennessee lost to a 9 seed when the road was just it was right there to get to the Elite Eight. But hey,
Mhm.
I know that's tournament basketball, and there's teams that fall victim to that every single year. But yeah, I don't have an answer for that. That's a great question. Tennessee's just been so inconsistent all year long, even when healthy. Even when having Ncaa, even without missing some of these players, but getting them back for the next game, they just never really found a sync offensively all year long. Play great defense all year long, but again, when you go 33% from the field in the Sweet 16, it doesn't matter how good your defense is, it's going to get you beat.
And they're taking on a good mid-major team that, as you mentioned, they won a lot of games this
Mhm.
year. And whether or not you knew about it, they definitely have that winning mentality. For Tennessee, looking forward a little bit, what do you think their team is going to look like next year? Obviously, there's some, the portal's always a factor here, but what are you hoping they kind of work on in the offseason in additions, and what do you expect for them next year?
Yeah, they got a couple of really nice pieces coming in, which is good. They've got one
Mhm.
and that's been on the bench, since the mid year, just watching, learning, practicing, and all that. So that's going to help them out a lot. The transfer portal, they're going to just like every team in the country, going to
Mhm.
be evaluating, watching tape, trying to add maybe another point guard for sure, and maybe some
Mhm.
post help. But you're losing a lot. There's a couple of guys that have a COVID year where they could come back, and we'll
Mhm.
see. But kind of the expectation right now with Santiago Vescovi is not going to be coming back and using that. Olivier Cumwall likely won't come back and use that. Uros Plavsic, Tyreek Key's already gone. He was using that this year. So you're
Mhm.
losing a lot of firepower. Josiah Jordan James, another one who's been a 4-year starter for Tennessee. So you're losing a lot of firepower from this year. But Rick Barnes is recruiting really, really well. You bring back Zakai
Yep.
Ziegler again, which when healthy this year, I thought he was playing like one of the better backcourt players in the country, especially the point guard position. So that'll be key. But getting him back in the flow of things. He might miss the first couple of games because his injury was so late this year. But Tennessee will have good players. Tennessee will have a good coach in Rick Barnes, and they'll be preseason in the top 25, and they'll be right around there in the pecking order of the SEC. It's just a matter of just trying to find your offensive identity because playing for Rick Barnes, you're going to play good defense every single year. You
Mhm.
know that you won't play out there on the court if you don't play defense. Just the
Mhm.
next step for this team and for a lot of Rick Barnes' teams over the years is you got to find it on offense, and again this team just never did. But they'll be okay next year. It's just you're losing a lot of seniors who will play a lot of basketball for you.
So we'll see a bit of a different style, I'm sure, once they get that new group of players in. Eric, we'll let you get to your show. Check out Locked On Vols to everyone. See exactly what went down against FAU. And of course, Locked On College Basketball has all of the March Madness covered for you. This is all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.